Have you ever opened up your calendar or taken a look at your to-do list and thought, "Ugh, cool, okay, gonna be running on coffee, cortisol, and sheer willpower or determination?" If you can relate to that, you are not alone and you are not broken. You are just running without resources. And today we're going to talk about how you can recharge that battery before it gets to 1%. This is such a common phenomenon, and it's something that I have personally been experiencing lately. I have taken on so much, and although parts of my day feel energizing, other parts of my day just feel like tasks on a to-do list, and I feel like I'm on the very edge of burnout. And today I wanted to talk about how we can resource ourselves so we don't get to that place where we completely hit overload and shut down or lash out. Because sometimes those two options are what it ultimately comes down to when we are not taking care of ourselves, we are not resourcing ourselves throughout our day, and we are just running from task to task to task. Our nervous system is like a bank account where we can make deposits into the nervous system to help resource ourselves and feel more grounded and connected and regulated. Or we can also be making withdrawals from our nervous system where we have stressors or various different tasks or things that require us to stay in a regulated state throughout the day. And when we are not making enough deposits into that account and we are constantly making withdrawals, especially for us women who have chronic dysregulation and high stress in our lives, our body is in a low level state of fight or flight a majority of the time. And so we're never fully regulated. We're always semi in a state of semi regulation. Or we've just gotten so used to a dysregulated state that that's really our baseline. And our bodies just don't feel safe when we do try to slow down, or we go in spurts where we will have a lot of output and we'll be making a lot of withdrawals for a period of time, like say throughout our week. And then on the weekend, we just collapse and we're like, oh, I'll just take a long weekend or I'll rest through the weekend so I can get up and do it all again next week. And this is a recipe for burnout because our systems need more need more consistent deposits. And it really doesn't take a lot. It's something we can do on a very micro level. It's something we can do in small doses to help us to stay more in a regulated or semi-regulated state. And so I wanted to talk about some of the ways that we can do this. It's very simple things that we can do because our nervous system communicates more in through emotion and sensory type inputs. A lot of times we can really use things like heat or cold, or things that feel very soft and cozy, or things that are soothing to listen to, or things that feel very that feel very nourishing to us on a sensory level. And so a lot of times when I find myself in a very dysregulated state, if I really feel like I'm in a state of kind of freeze, or I've really disassociated from myself, or I've kind of, there's a distance, I'm not present in my body, I will often use a cold pack, an ice pack, and I will just put it right on the back of my neck to help me to ground back down into the moment. But sometimes I reach for my like a heating pad or a little hot pack that I have that I can heat up, because sometimes it feels more soothing just to put that kind of on my lower belly or maybe on the back of my chair and just allow myself to come into the present more gently and slowly, especially if I'm coming out of a freeze state. Nothing jarring if we're trying to pull ourselves out of a freeze state, because that's the combination state where we have the fight or flight energy in our system, but we're also in the down and in parasympathetic response. So that is helpful to kind of, draw us out gently from that state. Some of the other things that you can do is definitely going outside is really helpful, especially if you can put your bare feet on the earth or you can texturally touch something outside like a tree or a leaf or something that you can use to help to kind of bring yourself back into the present moment and ground and orient yourself. A lot of times I talk about stomping or shaking or rebounding as a way to help bring ourselves back into a state of regulation. Uh, it sounds so silly and it can look silly, but it can really help if you can just use those um, more physical modalities to help bring yourself back into regulation. It's not uncommon for me when I'm working on the crisis line. I will, after a difficult call, I'll just get up and start shaking and stomping and rebounding and just really just like letting that energy move, just moving it out. I'm also somebody who is very soothed by different frequencies of sound that are nourishing and soothing to me. I love sound bowls. That's something for me that's just like, that's creme de la creme. I love sound bowls. And so I will put on some sound bowls. And a lot of times I'll put it in my earbud in my ear if I have the opportunity to do that, because it's just, can kind of block out some of the other distraction outside. But sometimes I will just, also play it in the background too throughout my day. I'm somebody who has always been an advocate of Kundalini yoga. Um, a lot of the different, they're not called exercises, but the different kriyas or the different movements that you can use are so soothing and really help to bring you back into your body. It's a type of yoga that's not, it is physical in a way, but it's not like the standard poses you would think about. It's more of an inner state where most of the exercises you do with your eyes closed. And so, you're really being introspective and introspective during those exercises. But there's one that I really love, and it's where we just kind of move ourselves around our body like this. Um, Man, that I just, it's such a soothing motion. I also love to tap. I'm a tapper. Now, I do use the emotional freedom technique, but let me just say this. None of this is being put out there as professional advice, even though I do have a clinical background. This is just from my own personal experience. And I am a type of person who I like to slice and dice. I like to take what resonates for me and try things out and see what works. And so I'm not a stickler for the protocols. I mean, I'll try them as intended or as presented initially, but I always listen to my own inner knowing, and I will chop things up. And if this feels good and this feels good, but the middle part, not for me, I just take it out. And I want you to also build that skill set of just trying things and seeing what works, what feels good, what helps you feel better, what helps you bring you more into your body, into this present moment, what helps you to feel soothed and grounded and connected, less stressed, more ease, anything like that. So try it for yourself. That is one of the most important skill sets, is being able to listen to our own body, listen to our own inner wisdom, and trust ourselves. Our bodies want balance, and if we get out of our own way, they will find balance. We just have to give it the right inputs and make it, have an ideal environment sometimes, or create the conditions for that to happen. So, those are some things that I have used to resource myself over the years. I also often will I will lay down and do kind of short meditations, or I will do breath work. That's incredibly helpful for me. I will also listen to different audio or hypnotherapy tracks. Those things have been incredibly helpful for me as well. But sometimes I still don't want a lot of external stimulus, meaning that I want to really be in my own energy and really listening inwardly. And so, of course, if you're listening to a hypnotherapy track or something, somebody's guiding you through something. And so that is helpful sometimes for me, obviously. I advocate for that. But then other times I really want it to be more where I don't have that kind of, I don't want any noise. I want it to be me in my own body and disconnecting from the thoughts, or just even observing the thoughts, to be honest. Sometimes, we can't just turn it off. So sometimes I just kind of, I'm the observer. I'm just watching and observing what's happening internally for me to kind of get a beat on where I am and what's going on for me. I mean, I do love a good Epsom salt bath. That is really grounding for me as well. I love to have, like, once a week, I can take the luxury of soaking in an Epsom salt bath. That just grounds me, and I love water. I'm a Pisces. So, the fish, I really love to be in water. I mean, just generally, I love to be in water. And I don't know if that's just my sign. It could just be a multitude of things, but that is something that feels really good to me as well. So, just try some things out, resource yourself. And sometimes it can just be a micro kind of reset where, when we recognize we're coming out of regulation, we just want to reach for something that can help us to ground our energy down. Whether that's, like I said, listening to some sound bowls, or getting ice pack, or doing an orienting kind of practice. And then we do want to then really work to just come back into our own body. Really, when we're in a regulated state, we are open to connection. Connection and co regulation is something that can really help. It really can. And really, a lot of what the work I do on the crisis line is really just co regulating with people, to be honest with you. Somebody will call in a distressed state, or, in a state of dysregulation. And I am just a calming presence. I don't really have to do a lot other than just allow my energy to lead, meaning that they can borrow my calm, so to speak. And so that can be something. If you have a pet, they are amazing co-regulators. Or anything that feels like a touchstone is what I call it to you. So listen to yourself, listen to your body. Retraining our survival reflex and our nervous system, it's not something we can think our way into. We really do have to just practice different skill sets. And over time, your body will learn that, it's safe to come into regulation, because those constant withdrawals we're making from our nervous system when we're in that hypervigilant state, it's just like draining the bank account. It's draining the account. And when we make these small deposits of resourcing, especially on a consistent basis, it can really help in those moments when we are in a state of distress or activation, or we're having a trigger, or we're just having a low energy day, because that happens. And sometimes it's not only a low energy day, it can kind of last through a period of a few days, or sometimes even up to a week. And especially as women, as we cycle, go through our own cycle each month, our hormones fluctuate and our energy comes up and down. And so sometimes we just have to ask ourselves, like, what do I need right now to feel held? Not what do I need to change or fix, but what would help me feel very held, supported, and I love the word nourished in this moment. I think one of the things from all the healing work I have done that I have recognized is that I was undernourished as a child, not with physical food, but just with like love, compassion, support. Like I was undernourished in that way. And so in times of distress, the first thing I do to self-abandon is I don't care for myself. I let go of that and I stop caring for myself. And so now I know that I'm aware of it. And so the first thing I do, and especially now that I'm a mother, as I see with my own children, especially when they're in a state of dysregulation, they need more love, not less. Even when, they're having the fit or they're saying the things or, when they're really having a hard time, I always say to myself, more love, not less. So give that to yourself. And if you would like some support in coming back into a state of regulation, and you would like to download my Return to Wholeness realignment audio track, I am going to link that in the description below for you. It's a doorway. I always advocate that you create your own audio tracks because it's so easy to do. But if you're not there yet and you would like to give it a try and see if it's something that supports you, feel free to go down, grab that for yourself, and I will catch you on the next one, everybody. Take care.